is that some people that have been given their meters are not getting their monies refunded as they're supposed to be. That's why I'm asking, is there a timeline? And then the other part about actually getting the meters. But let's stick with the one about those who get the meters and the monies that are supposed to be refunded to them are not refunded. That's what I'm asking you. Is there a timeline that money is supposed to be refunded within? Or how is that money supposed to be refunded to the customers?
Yes, the CAPME metering scheme mandates distribution companies within 60 days to put that meter. And in the next billing cycle, the customer will be getting credit over time. So if there are Nigerians or customers who have already paid for this meter, who did not get this meter, or who have gotten this meter and they are not getting any credit from their billing, we are asking them to please file complaints before us. And we are going to investigate, and we assure them that if there is any erring distribution company that violated this order, we are going to sanction them appropriately.
What if complaints are
aside from this is the fact that we have deployed monitoring teams that are now going around to some selected locations in Nigeria to monitor the implementation of CAPME, to also monitor the adherence to our estimated billing methodology by the distribution companies for unmetered customers.
Well, many wonder, look, they're hearing this for the first time about this monitoring team. How do they work? How do we recognize them? How do they contact them? Because I'm sure lots of people have complaints.
Yeah, we have outlets. Like I said, the first point you do is to write to the distribution company. Where you're not satisfied within the timeline, you escalate it to the forum offices. Like we have forum office in Ikeja, we have, Enugu, we have in various places. But where you are not satisfied or you feel that you cannot access these forum offices, you can get directly to us at NERC, and then we will deal with the issues directly. But it's important for us to say that the monitoring team that goes out are periodic monitoring team done by the Commission to check adherence to its regulations. Recently, we came to Ikeja, and then we did some monitoring, because based on a tip-off that we got, and we went there to see if those things are true. So when we get clear evidence of violations of our regulations, we normally take appropriate measures. So the monitoring team are periodic teams sent by the Commission to ensure adherence by the distribution companies to their regulations.
Mr. Akah, when you say those that have complaints should send them in to the forum office or to the immediate DISCO office or to the forum office or directly to the NERC, what's the guarantee that they'll be acted on promptly? Because we have some people who have been commenting here that they've sent in complaints and there's not even an acknowledgement that their complaints have been received.
To the best of my knowledge and to the best of our knowledge, all complaints that get to the Commission, the first protocol is that you have to acknowledge it and then channel it through the redress mechanism of the Commission and monitor the compliance of that. We'll be delighted to get such feedback from Nigerians who have complained and they did not get redress. And to help us deal with this issue is why the Commission went ahead to procure an IT complaint management platform that will be able to help us monitor these complaints, to be able to help us flag down complaints that are not addressed in real time, and then get the respective distribution company to do what they need to do. So anytime very soon after we've done the test run, we are going to deploy this platform. But we have forum offices nationwide. They are giving us returns. We have the customer complaint units of distribution companies, and we mandate them every month to send us returns. And then we are looking at those returns, and very soon also, we will be coming up with periodic reports of what this complaint looked like, DISCO by DISCO, and perhaps like a name and shame method to get Nigerians know what we are doing and what improvements are coming on board.
The NERC has been accused of protecting the DISCOs and the GENCOs. How do you react to that instead of the customer?
Well, On the part of the operators, we get this accusation that we are more customer based. On the part of the consumers, sometimes we get this accusation that we are protecting the operators. These are part of the challenges of being a regulator, because as a regulator, you are tasked with responsibility of balancing the interests of the consumers on the other side and the operators on the other side. And you find a situation where consumers anywhere in the world would prefer to get power, if possible, free. And the operators, if some of them may decide to game the system or to optimize their profit. So what we as Commission have done is to stick by the rules, to make sure we are fair and balanced, and ensure that in providing an enabling environment for the operators, we also protect the consumers and give them value for money. I'll give you an example. Recently, the power generation got vandalized from a peak of 5,770 down, we are doing something like 2,800 because of vandalization. So what we've done yesterday, which we gave the directive to distribution companies, because we needed to protect the unmetered customers or customers who are on estimated billing, is to tell the distribution companies that they should know that customers, especially those who are on estimation, reserves a right to reject a current bill and pay the last undisputed bill, because the last undisputed bill was acceptable to them. We want to make sure that you don't give them an estimate based on peak generation of 5,070, which assumes there are more power to the Nigerian consumers. But right now, we know reality, there is vandalization, and the generating plants are doing less than 2,800, which means there will be less power to Nigerians. So when we do all these things, the distribution companies and the operators will say we are there protecting the customers. At the same time, when we also give the customers what should be a fair share of their obligations, they also say we are there protecting the operators. So that's the challenge we face.
As the protector, take this scenario, for instance. You're a customer who is on estimated billing. You're not an unmetered customer, so to speak, and you have a dispute with your billing system. And while you sort that out with your disco, you were disconnected. How do you get justice in a matter when you know you have a disputed bill, and before that can be sorted out, the lights went out?
We have clear regulations on this issue. When a bill is under dispute and you've already filed a complaint in line with the redress mechanism of the Commission, you are not supposed to be disconnected. Secondly, for a distribution company to disconnect you for valid reasons, they must give you adequate notice in writing prior to the disconnection. We also have penalties for unlawful disconnection in our regulations. So we need Nigerians to take note of their rights. These regulations are on our website. We are going around Nigerians as much as possible to educate them on their rights, and then we are putting up publications and jingles as much as possible also to educate them of their rights. When you are disconnected illegally, when you feel that your rights is being affected by distribution companies, get the documentations, and then we will deal with that. But we want to enjoin the Nigerian consumers also to also be aware of their obligations, to pay their bills, and the vandalization that is happening within the pipelines are done by we Nigerians. So when the power has gone down now to 2,700 or thereabout, it's not the fault of the distribution companies, it's not the fault of NERC, it's not the fault of the ministry, but it's our own making, that we as Nigerians, as customers, should realize that these infrastructures borders on our future and borders for the welfare of generations that are yet to be born. So we need to protect these infrastructures.
All right, let me, yes, power generation has gone down, but the bills still remain the same. But let me bring you this classical case. Now, you have people who move into a compound or flat, whichever, and then they find an outstanding bill of whichever amount, 20, 40, 50, 100,000 naira. But they approach the disco saying, listen, I've just moved in, I have no business with these bills or this outstanding bills that have not been paid. And then the discos tell them, sorry, you have to pay those bills before we either give you any meter whatsoever, let alone give you electricity supply. What should the consumer do in that case?
First and foremost, it's important for the Nigerian consumers to observe due diligence in either renting a property or buying a property. Recently also, and we also came out with reminders to Nigerians that before you enter into a property or you buy a property, you must make sure that all outstanding bills are all well accounted for. It is the responsibility of the distribution companies to go after their bills and collect it as and when due. They cannot impose that responsibility or that failure on their part to collect those bills as and when due on an innocent tenant that just moved in. So important two factors are there. One, we must be very careful when we move into a property or we are going to buy a property. Ultimately also, distribution companies should be held responsible to make sure that they go after their bills and collect them as and when due. They cannot impose those liabilities due to their failure to collect these bills on time to the customers that just moved into a rented property. So these issues will be treated on a case-to-case basis based on their merits.
All right, we'd like to thank you for talking to us today. Mr. Anthony Akah is the acting CEO of NERC. Well, we will be back. We have another focus on the program today. Don't go away.